Hello, everyone. Welcome back to case one of the Golden Ticket Control Group. We have a new player tonight. Say hello, Anne.
Hello, Anne.
Indeed. We now have one on two gaming. It's great. This will be fun.
Indeed. So let's get right into it then. I have a flashback to start us off with tonight, featuring Elaine Griffin, the new character. The figure behind the desk sits with their back to the bay windows that overlook the city. Neon lights illuminate the skyline, which seems to stretch on beyond the horizon. Rain ripples across the glass, distorting the view. Papers and old books lie in tall piles across the office floor, maps pinned to freestanding corkboards, turning the large room into a maze. The myriad writings encompass eldritch symbols and hieroglyphics into ancient Latin. The musty smell of aging paper permeates the air. Elaine stands before the desk in the dark. Her employer sits shrouded in shadow, a meaningless dark shape that reclines casually amidst the mad scrawlings. You need to be on location in 8.5 hours, they explain. There will be a school counselor protecting a wayward child. Extend them your protection and return them safely to the city. If either protest, give them this. They hold out a plain, unsealed envelope, which Elaine takes silently. Half of your compensation is already in your account, the figure sighs. The other half will be delivered when your two charges enter city limits. You may bill me for any further expenses. The door behind Elaine clicks as the concierge discreetly enters, holding the door slightly ajar behind him. Without another word, she turns on her heel and walks into the dimly illuminated hallway. Once the door is closed again, the figure stands gracefully and organizes the remaining papers in front of them. Walking around the chair, they stare out the window at the giant skyscraper being erected downtown, enormous cranes lifting heavy stone blocks, building an entire castle atop a concrete monument to one man's ego. I am longing to be with you and by the sea, they quote bitterly, where we can talk together freely and build our castles in the air. Which brings us back to the future. Brandon and Laurie are facing Colbert, who is leveling his crossbow at them both. Laurie instinctively steps forward, like half interposing themselves between the weapon and Random. Colbert hesitates a moment, but then seems to steel his resolve. Uh, Tension on the trigger, at least for a moment. But then a bright red dot appears on his chest. He freezes, looking down his nose at the aberration. And then a second one appears, and a third. A moment later, more appear on Laurie and Random as several very professional military figures emerge. There's a moment of silence. The man nearest, Colbert, gives him a meaningful look, and Colbert slowly lowers the crossbow and then holds it out for the man to take, which he does before kicking the legs out from underneath him and forcing him to kneel in the muck. Another points to Laurie and Random and says, "Freeze, keep your hands in the air."
Mm,
How is Random reacting?
Is there anything in the area that looks like it could be a door?
It's the middle of the forest. A there's trees. There's underbrush. There's a pile of dead wolves.
Yeah, but unfortunately, nothing really that's enough that, off-screen disappearance stuff that movie monsters do that would account for where I can put doors.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Laurie's putting his hands up. It says, "Yep, it's all right. It's all right. We're unarmed. I don't know what you're doing here, but." He gets in the middle of that when
Random's probably getting into a tense posture of looking like she's about to pounce because she still has monstrous rage as a status.
hmm,
But she's bleeding from her shoulder because she has wings as well.
all right.
And currently looks completely human because I went back to still looks human at the end of last episode.
Let's see. Could you give me an investigate really quick?
Yes, I can. Heightened of situational awareness, raised in a lab cage. I
Yep,
think that's it.
that's it. I am not going to tag any weaknesses for this one.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't think any of the tags apply.
Well then, away I go. Oh joy!
All right, so remember those wolves that you eviscerated?
Yes.
You can see that there is blood crawling from the pile of their bodies towards the figure of the vampire that's lying face first on the ground. The military guys are not paying attention.
Oh dear. That I'm assuming is one of my clues. So I have one more.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a way I can maneuver it so that when she stands up, she's staring at at the military guys instead of us?
Hmm. Yeah, considering that they're threatening you, that should be fine.
Okay, so what she's going to do is try to maneuver quietly, hissing and growling, expecting that Lori will try to keep covering her, and try to maneuver the two of them so that the first thing on Veronica's attention is these military guys instead of us.
Okay. Laurie is going to try and cover, but it's very hard because they do have you both surrounded, and some of them are pulling out handcuffs and tasers and are looking in Random's direction.
Oh no.
However, this is the scene that Elaine discovers as she's been hiking through this muddy, horrible, misty forest.
Um, so when I was writing Elaine, you mentioned she could be a long-time rival of our Van Helsing. Is that still the case, or have we decided not to go with that?
No, that is really cool. However, you wouldn't have seen him for a few years. He disappeared for a while.
I would like to open up my suitcase and change the game a little to start with.
Go for it.
Okay, so basically she's going to pop open the suitcase and go fishing for a couple of small bodies that can go and lift things and sneak things and so forth.
Yep, that's 2 juice.
2 juice. Alright, so story tags, I think. I'm thinking a pair of story tags for, a couple of puppets that I'm mustering.
Cool.
So we've got Shadow Grasping Puppet.
Yep, I see that too.
That's marked in this radar, right?
Yep. And Shadowed Scuttling Puppet's our second.
These sound vaguely threatening and disturbing.
Well, I'm going to open my case and pull out 2 black, nearly formless figures, spindly, with an odd number of limbs. You're not certain if it's 3 or 5, but they're not matched. The pair of them head to the far side of the clearing as Elaine circles around towards the side where Random and Laurie are standing.
Okay. Sneak around for the puppets?
Well, yes, they should have been tagged, but I am learning.
Yep. And that's okay. So the puppets are remarkably sneaky. Nobody sees them. Okay, and it's at this point that the bad guys are getting a bit impatient. Face danger for Random here.
Okay.
As
Okay.
they come at you with tasers and bindings.
I'm going to go ahead and use the improvement I got last time.
Ooh, cool.
Once
2 free juice.
2 free juice. And I'm going to make it Xenomorph moves fast. And let's see. Terminator is tough. Though I can't stack 3 because that's burned right now.
No, you can't at the moment.
I'm going to do instead a status of Xenomorph moves fast and do it to a status of 2.
Okay.
Would my winged shoulder work against me on this?
It would, yes.
Okay. In which case, the other thing I'm going to do is mark monster movie mantras.
Okay.
Raised in a lab cage.
Yep. You are used to these guys' tactics.
Yep. Dark shadows and flickering lights.
Oh yes, it is quite dark out here.
And face danger.
Okay.
That's not good.
No, it's not. That's I'm going to upgrade your winged status to a level 3.
Is it from the tasers?
It is from the tasers, yes.
So that, okay. I was hoping that would be a separate status, but okay. Okay. I'm now up to level 3. Ow.
Yep. So they come in with stun batons and tasers, and they start going to town. Laurie's screaming at them to stop, but one of the guys just pushes him to the ground Laurie is in no condition to be fighting back against trained military people.
I think at this point Elaine should make herself known.
Yep, I was about to give it to you.
Awesome. Elaine's just going to step out, you know, slide in between Random and the assaulting professionals. Perhaps give them a stern look and some manner of disdain.
Is this a attempt to intimidate?
Uh, yeah, let's go for some sheer incongruity. She's completely calm. She's smiling faintly. She's very much out of place in amongst all these body armored people and these mud spattered scenes and so forth. And brutally wounded camp counselor. And she just steps in between them and looks disapproving.
Oh, I love it. Start marking your tags.
I think Reckless Abandon,
Yep.
Porcelain Perfect Beauty.
Yes.
Can you think of any others?
Lady detective.
That's good. I was thinking that, but I wasn't brave enough to suggest it because it seemed a bit out there.
I almost want to say the monster must be unidentifiable, but you're identifiable, just out that's so incongruous. You know, I'm going to give it
Okay. Any weaknesses?
self-doubt.
I'm faking it till I make it.
Indeed.
I mark attention for that. Don't
You do indeed. And that is a 13. Relevant status equal to power with a power of 3. Oh my.
Oh, wow.
Irrational fear of irrational people.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, Elaine just suddenly appears out of nowhere, and the military guys stop dead. She is giving them the look of death, and Random can even hear one of them gulping underneath their masks. They pause and look at each other as if to ask, "What the fuck?"
Huh.
Do I write that status down, or do you?
You right.
And what do I do with that?
So it's a status. Just put it in next to the story tags. You will be able to take advantage of that.
So they didn't give up, so they get the irrational fear.
Ah, right. Yes, yes, they do get the irrational. Oh yes. By the way, Random.
Yes.
The blood that was crawling over to the vampire is all getting sucked up into her now. And you can see wisps of shadows with eyes and fanged maws start to bleed from her form.
While attention is on Elaine, is it possible to grab Lori and try to try to dive undercover, like behind a tree or a bush or something?
That sounds like a take the risk because the moment, like, you're not going to be able to sneak around to do this.
Got it.
It is literally grabbing them and diving for cover. Their objective is to take Random again, which
Got it.
means, yeah, they've still got their eye on you. You are taking a risk because they will fire upon you if, but that's
Okay. This is kind of working against Monstrous Rage. But I have Winged and Tased working against me. Yay.
Yeah, you're not as strong as you usually are at the moment.
I do have Xenomorph moves fast as a status.
And you probably want to think about a mantra for regen.
Yeah, that's a change to the game that's coming up fairly soon.
Yep,
Um,
I thought so. I just thought I'd, preview that for everyone.
I'm going actually instead of my Xenomorph can moves fast, can I tag their fear thing?
You should be able to
Yes.
because it's a status on them.
Yes, this is you can because it's a status on them, and also it's what's distracting them.
Right. And I will go ahead and do monster movie mantras, and because I'm familiar with these people, raised in a lab cage and heightened situational awareness.
I won't give you heightened situational awareness.
Got it.
It's not a perception thing. It's a
Speed thing.
yeah.
Okay, unless you have weaknesses, I can't really think of anything else I can put in.
Hmm. The monster kills.
Oh joy. Yeah, because that will actually have me go to try to kill them. Okay, take a risk.
And also you're saving someone.
A
The
natural
monster
nemesis too.
kills.
Yep. Okay.
Indeed. Things get messy. Ooh, okay. Let's see, hard bargain or an ugly choice. In this situation, alright. Your first option. Laurie is heavily wounded. These guys are after you. And you're being overtaken by your instincts
To get cover, yeah.
to get to cover. You can abandon Laurie. Or the only pathway that you can see that will get both you and Laurie out is past the vampire.
Uh, wow, big heart, big choices. Uh, I think at this point, instead of grabbing Lori, she's going to dive for cover somewhere. She might be able to come back and rescue him later if she's not trapped.
Okay.
Because I don't want the monster of the movie to fade just yet.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Random scuttles off into the bushes. The I mean they're obviously afraid of this newcomer, but a couple of them snap out of it and manage to get off some fire. So there's bullets winging off the trees and ground around random.
Ting.
Indeed. Elaine, before everything goes to shit, I'm going to give you a move. A couple of them start pointing their guns at you now, um, nervously, shaking. But one of them manages to say, "Ma'am, you shouldn't be here. Leave now."
Elaine steps in front of Laurie and spreads her hands in a brilliant impersonation of that one statue of Jesus, drastically exaggerating the size of a fish he once almost caught.
All right, they aren't going to open fire. However, there is a pause as a thing of shadows, fangs, eyes, and wolves, maybe, rises above one of the soldiers that's pointing his gun at Elaine, and rises up and up, looming over him. After a moment, he seems to see the tendrils of darkness curling around the edge of his vision. He turns, looks up, and screams. His gun going off, it goes straight through the shadows as if it was nothing. Before he gets torn apart by the thing, Colbert launches himself to his feet, punches the guy uh, that's covering him in the stomach, and dives for his crossbow. As everyone starts shooting all over the place.
I think I would like to lead with a face danger on behalf of my wounded charge.
Yep,
It's meaningless if the monster can die. Puppet
Yep.
substitution.
yep.
Um, always a new monster.
Yep.
Reckless abandon, do you think?
This is pretty reckless, I'll give it.
Anything else?
Not that I can see. I'm not seeing any weakness tags either, so
Do I tag their status?
you know what? Yes. They are firing wildly at the moment.
Well,
Excellent.
that's
So
a huge
every-
amount of power.
Indeed. Uh, Elaine is torn to shreds by the bullets. But what thumps to the ground is empty shaped bits of some material or other. And a second Elaine grabs Laurie by the arm and begins to pull him away from the danger zone.
Nice.
Random is trying to stay behind a tree in the bushes, somewhere that has relatively hard cover for any stray shot, and is basically repeating, what's something distinctly unkillable it comes back to pieces from pieces. Well, simple one, werewolf. Werewolf can heal, werewolf can heal, werewolf can heal.
Okay, so change the game.
Yep. Monster movie mantras.
Mm-hmm.
A heavy filter between thought and expression so I can focus.
Oh, that's a good one.
And do you mind if I do keep on ticking from the theme?
Go for it.
Any weaknesses you can spot?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so she is going to reduce her winged and tased status to 0 with all 3 of that juice.
Awesome.
And she's now looking like somewhat wolfy.
Oh. Colbert rolls over with the crossbow in his grip, shouts as if to call the vampire's attention to himself as it is starting to tear the entire squad apart. His crossbow bolt just thunks uselessly straight through it and into a tree. And on seeing that, he turns and runs into the forest.
Oh, joy. Is it at all possible that I could try to reconnect or join up with Lori and Elaine running?
That's what Laurie was about to attempt to do.
Oh, go for it.
Um, so yeah, Laurie looks to Elaine and is at this point is like, I'm not going to question where this person came from because they just saved me, etc. Says, come on, we need to find Random, and starts running off to look for Random. So we have Survivor's Instincts, Uncanny Luck. There is another thing. Yeah, the vampire is going to be after Laurie, so monstrous attraction will be tagged as a weakness here. What do you think? Gym training?
I mean, that does seem reasonable for your running.
Can't rain all the time. I'm only ticking that because Laurie has had absolutely awful luck. Uh,
Indeed.
all right, I'm going to leave it there though. However, bloody bandaged shoulder will count against.
You somehow managed to get there just as her shoulders coming back together.
Uh, Laurie stumbles into Random, pauses, hands on knees, puffing. Ah, ah. You can still hear the gunfire in near distance. Random, we've got to get the flock out of here. Uh, cabin, the kids can't stay here.
Huh. She's going to nod vigorously and look around. It's like, I'm assuming she would have seen the puppet because she's still right there.
Oh yes.
Um,
Heck, I think Elaine would have come with.
When you sprint off, Elaine probably strides after you fairly purposefully, but not actually running.
Yes. Well, luckily the vampire is busy eating the soldiers.
While the vampire is still eating the soldiers, may I make a move?
Sure. What would you like to do?
I don't know what move it is, but I would like to have my shadowy grasping puppets grasp the writhing shadow and try and pull more of it into, the sort of space that the soldiers can shoot.
Ooh, interesting.
Probably inflicting some sort of delay status against it chasing us?
Yeah. So that sounds like a change the game.
yep, because it's going to be a semi-temporary status. Yep.
There you go. Both the puppets and the monster must be unidentified.
So free juice.
I would like to spend it all on, uh, a delayed recovering or healing type status.
Hmm.
Delayed by the amount of time it takes to heal.
Yep, this is a good plan.
Um,
Let's see.
Innervated recovery.
Tied up, eating guards. All right, so
Um, Random's going to look for a particular nod fervently and go look for like a particular spot where like a couple trees and some thick undergrowth are put like into a place that is hard to see through arch that kind of tree formation where the monster sticks its arm out and grabs someone from inside, and going to try to place her last doorway into that because that'll give him a shortcut to the cabin.
house. Oh, the cabin.
Yep.
Sure. Um, I think you can do that automatically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's good. That's what she's doing. If I don't have to make a
Alright.
roll, that seems to be ideal.
All right. So you put the doorway through there. You gonna wait for Elaine or?
Yep. She's going to go ahead. This person did just save them, and Lori's there and kind of curious about Elaine, but Lane's helping right now.
Hmm.
And besides, Lane just probably saw the door getting opened and or well, random will go in and then pop her head out and come and say come. And so Elaine can at least see where the door is, and it would be better to watch Elaine than to have her follow later.
Laurie hesitates to step through the door, but then looks over his shoulder at where they've come from and hears a blood curdling scream and then leaps through.
Elaine continues, striding after Random and Laurie.
So you walk into the shadows and step out, which. Oh, into the garden, isn't it?
Yep, it's the garden of indeterminate size, and there are five exits right now. Random will go to a crossroads, kind of eyeing Elaine cautiously, um, but points roof, basement, under cabin, shed, fight. And she'll point back towards where the monsters, where the fight, where they came from, and say, that's the fight.
Uh, right, okay. Right, shed. Shed's probably best. Least cramped, no chance of falling off roof.
She'll nod and start leading people off to the shed, um, which probably going to. I haven't. I don't know. I haven't described the different doors yet, but it's again. For further description, this is the a more friendly version of a xenomorph hive. It is basically the embodiment of all monster movie lairs. Just she tends to default more to xenomorph, so it looks more xenomorph. As a note, we did hit the 50-minute marker on the timer, so if we're going to do a break, it would be a good time.
Yes, this would be a good time for a break. So, thank you very much for listening, everyone. We will be back shortly.
Indeed. Okay.
Which brings us back to the future.
Cue Huey Lewis music.
I'm. Why does that say power 4?
Because you had tags from another one marked already.
Oh, right. Back in the testing phase. I remember things.
We find the reset button very useful.
Wait, there's a reset. Oh my god. That's fantastic.
One of the examples they do in there is like giving one creating like the dragon and then using other tags to represent parts of the dragon. So you could make.
Well, yes, that's what I'm going for.
Oh, we found that you need to mark the one dot on tags as well as things for because it doesn't count it otherwise.
The pair of them head to the far side of the clearing as Elaine circles around towards the side where Random and I've already forgotten your name.
Laurie.
Thank you. Oops, I didn't. Oh well.
Well, that would have been a 12 probably.
Yeah, I should have tagged both of them. How do you actually tag these? Oh, right, you push the plus button.
Yep.
No?
Yep, it's the plus button or the minus button depending.
The minus button if they're against you.
Right. Okay.
So that would be a convince if you wanted.
You can actually do intimidate. I've saw example of someone doing intimidate with hit with all you've got too, because you can apply it as a status.
I don't think this is hit with all you've got though.
True.
I mark attention for that.
You do indeed. And that is a 13. Relevant status equal to power with a power of 3. Oh my.
If they don't, if they don't give in to you, they take a status which could be like off balance or whatever.
So I tick the 3. How does that work with the two different buttons in the 3 category?
Oh, you press the second most button that has the 3 in it.
Okay, what do the different
So
buttons mean?
if you further inflicted 2 more status points, it would only go up by the 2, it wouldn't go to 4 or 5.
Oh, I see how that works. Right. Okay, that's cool.
They're like stress boxes.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you do a 1 point status to them next that is also fear related, it'll fill one of the ticks. But if you do a 2 point or a 3 point, it'll take you them straight to a 4
I'm pretty much
or a
going
3 or 4.
if it's a physical injury, they'll probably stack like the taser stacked with the
Okay.
wing. That's I'm just doing that because make it a little bit more dangerous on us. We are playing by horror movie rules after all.
This is true. Okay.
I will also probably consider invoking weakness tags as flaws, the optional rule for this particular campaign.
Got it.
Excellent. I like that thought.
Okay.
Because that lets me come up with stuff on the fly and have excuses for hitting people with MC moves.
Elaine steps in front of Laurie and spreads her hands in a brilliant impersonation of that one statue of Jesus, drastically exaggerating the size of a fish he once almost caught.
Jesus wants a hug.
Random.
Look,
Sorry.
Laurie is screaming, holding hands over ears, definitely not used to this. Sorry, random?
Oh, I'll wait till I do the description. Random's just going to be trying to do a regen in a little bit.
Okay, I'm kind of wondering. Don't think there's I don't think there's much in the way that Laurie can do here so much. No, that's okay. Randoms go.
There's not much that I can use. I know when you're trying to reduce a thing, you don't include the status itself in the counter to it. Since I'm trying to reduce the wounds, I guess that doesn't count because it's part of what I'm targeting. She's now looking like somewhat wolfy.
Aru.
Yep,
That was the whitest Aru. Fuck yeah, pasty.
yep.
Um, oh, what sort of role would this be?
Take a risk because you're trying to get to a specific result.
Yes, and
And also separating from the person who was stopping all the bullets from.
yes.
So I just click roll, um, because I'm a bit special.
Don't worry about it. Ignore that roll.
It's fine. It would have been a 6 anyway.
Yes, but I don't want to have to go and look up the move. Find out what the 6 means.
So those puppets being created by a change the game, are they um, gone now on that, or
Can you tag them more? I think you can tag them more than once.
You can tag them more than once. The the thing about making them prolonged, it would be making them rest the entire scene, or if you get really lucky, make them semi-permanent.
Hmm.
Oh no, the point of these things is they're expendable. That's the whole idea of the suitcase as a relic.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I might say that they're expended because the vampire will tear them apart.
That's kind of what I thought.
that feels right. Yep. And Elaine will go to a crossroads and start. Not Elaine.